So, Anthony, do you think this is a tough time to be happy at the moment?
I think it's always tough to be happy because when it's full on, there's always the pressure and the anxiety and the fear of missing out. And now there is the anxiety about, will I have a job and will I have any income and how are my parents? And it's just I think it's always difficult, and it's difficult in different ways. But I think the principles of how to make oneself happy are true in the good times and in the bad times.
So, what should we be doing right now then to ensure that we try to stay happy?
It's not one thing, and one thing doesn't suit everybody. It's different people respond to different stimuli. So when I set up with a couple of colleagues Action for Happiness 10 years ago, we came up with 10 different ways that we can make ourselves happier. And some of them will suit some people more than others. So exercise is clearly something that will suit most. Now, I mean, if one has physical disabilities, that's obviously harder. But the more that we can exercise our body and get outside and stretch, whether Pilates or whether yoga, or just brisk walking 3 times a week to get the heart rate up for 20 minutes 3 times a week will make you feel happier. And so exercise is pretty much a general one, but others are a bit more specific.
What are some of the other ones?
Oh, well, I'm not going to go down all of them because you will despair of me. But they do form a convenient acronym. We wanted to have something in Action for Happiness that people would remember. The acronym is Great Dream, and the G in Great, I'll just pick up two or three, stands for um, giving. And it's really odd, but who would have thought that the more we give of our time, of ourselves, of our attention, of our love to others, the better we feel. And equally, conversely, the more we take away from others, the more horrid we are to them, the more we withhold ourselves, deny others affection, support, love, the more lousy it makes us feel. So giving is a pretty clear thing, and R is for relating, which is the most important thing, source of happiness for all of us, where our relationships are good with our partner, if we have one, with our family, with our friends at work, the better we feel. And the more they are bad or even toxic, you cannot feel happy. You might have pleasure, um, but pleasure is very different to happiness. Pleasure is a specific thing that comes and goes. You have a cool glass of beer, if that's your thing, at the end of the day, and you have pleasure. But that's not going to make you happy. But in terms of having a really close relationship, loving relationship, a sense of harmony with others, and with the special people in one's life, well, that is the biggest source of happiness in almost everyone's life. And then just coming through to the last one on that was great, and then finishing on dream, the M in dream, it stands for meaning. And we also know that the more our lives do have a meaning and a purpose, could be religious. Uh, it is for many people, it is for me, but it doesn't have to be religious at all. The more we have a sense that our life is about something and it means something. Thoreau, the American writer, said that most men and women lead lives of quiet desperation and go to their graves with their song still inside them. And if we can find out what our song is and release our song and sing it during our lifetimes, then we will be happier.
Some of those things you've said are resonating right now, aren't they? Giving, for example, we're seeing so many acts of kindness at the moment. So potentially, could you actually feel happier at the moment living in lockdown?
depending what one does, if one is living in lockdown and sitting on one's pile of gold bags and doing nothing and getting in touch with nobody and just living for oneself, then you will be utterly, utterly miserable. But if you get out, if you can, or in other ways, if maybe you can't do volunteering, there are so many ways that we can give. I mean, just phoning somebody, being in touch with somebody, maybe who you fell out with, a member of the family, a sibling, a cousin, maybe even a parent. And I mean, the floodgates of joy that are released when we give to others is incredible. And this is, I think, the people who are flourishing and thriving at this time are those who are best at giving. So these are the sovereign rules, really, to make oneself happier. And this is a great time to start, to rethink, reboot one's entire life.
If I could just give you a personal anecdote, I don't live very close to my family, a couple of hours away, and I don't see them often enough. But we've taken to doing a weekly quiz where all my family get involved. We even dress up now, and it's fantastic. And I feel closer to my siblings, to my nieces and nephews than actually I've ever felt before. So in some way, the lockdown for me has actually reaffirmed those relationships. I wonder if you think that there's a way, asking for advice here, that I can continue that so that I can continue to feel this happiness going forward when we don't have to do those activities by the internet.
Well, that's the most enhancing and uplifting piece of advice that you have given yourself, because it's truthful. Listening to you, I could feel you're uplifted by what you were saying, and that will be echoed by many people. You found that, and of course, it's easier when we have a common enemy to unite and to come together. And I think the trick when we do come out will be to do it without a common enemy. I mean, during wars, typically, during the First World War, for example, soldiers felt a degree of closeness and friendship in the trenches that they never recovered for the rest of their lives, which is why they spent the rest of their lives going to reunions, because there was a common enemy. The art of life is to find that love and that connection. Only connect, said the novelist E.M. Forster, how to find those connections without this terrible coronavirus. But I love that. And there are so many opportunities for finding deep happiness, which is always there. It's there when we go walking, but if we can try when we're going walking to really be out in nature, not to have the body outside, but the mind still thinking about work and one's worries, and which are very understandable. But the more one can just be there outside in the street or in a park, to look at the colours, hear the sounds, connect with one's feet on the ground, and just be there, then you will return. We will return to what we do afterwards, connected much better to ourselves. So there are lots of opportunities now, and I think when will we have such an opportunity again? I'm not dismissing in any way the incredible suffering and hardship that many and tragedy that many families have. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying that it's important in life always to try to find the upsides. And the upsides here are that the opportunities that it gives us to reconceptualize our entire lives. When again will we have, I hope never, this enforced period? 4 weeks so far, might be another 4 weeks. So make the most of it, and everybody will find that actually that enhances one's happiness and gives your own example, pathways, ideas to find that fulfillment, even after this is over.
Are there just people who are happier than others, or
Yes,
can
yes,
you just find happiness?
there are definitely happier people than others, and aren't they just so irritating? Of course there are, and there are people who have such hardships, and so of course it's easier for some than others. But the point is that we can only be where we are. We can only start our journey from where we are now. And wherever we are, there are things that we can do to make ourselves happier. At the heart of it is that we do have a choice. And wherever we start in life, however unhappy our circumstances and our inheritance, we can still make ourselves happier. And that the more we do that, the more progressive it becomes, and the happier we'll make people around us. And by the way, the pursuit of happiness is not a selfish thing. We all know what it's like. Anyone looking at this will know how painful and bewildering and sucking out of energy it is to have members of the family or friends who are suffering from depression or other losses. And equally, to be with people who are genuinely happy and life enhancing gives us all energy. And to try and make ourselves happier is actually the very height of compassion and responsibility and what it means to be a human being.
You're asking people to take a moment out of their day, a daily pause. Tell me about that.
So, taking a pause out of life is a good thing throughout the day. I mean, I don't know about you, but often my head is kind of whirring away, or I've got feelings that I can't let go of. And just to sit down for 2 minutes, or you could stand, um, and close the eyes. Might look a bit weird if you do it in the middle of a pavement, and inhale through the nose, perhaps to the count of 3 or 4 or 5, and out to the count of 5, 6, and 7. And just do that 10 times. You'll notice the heart rate coming down, the blood pressure will come down, the breathing rate comes down. And it is that rebooting, re energizing of oneself. And it's a good thing to do it during the day. So, the point about the 8 a.m. Which Action for Happiness have launched this very week is that it's something which everybody can do on their own or with family or workmates, and it's the start of a day. It's the break between home staff and work staff if one is at work. One can use it later in the day, at the end of the day, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, just to pause. And if you're working at home during this crisis, that can be quite a good punctuation mark between the work part of your home and the relaxing part of your home. So it works. It's really gentle and nice. You just listen and you notice thoughts and feelings without doing anything. It's about human beings becoming human beings, not human doings. We're always doing things. It's just learning how to be.
And I guess there's no negatives to giving it a try, are there? Just a couple of minutes.
No, I don't think so. I mean, sometimes it will make us feel tired, but it doesn't really make us tired. We just notice how tired we are. Sometimes, if we're going through a bereavement or it's a traumatic period, the very act of stopping moving physically and stopping the mind moving, it can make one more aware of the distress. But the more one does it, the more one can let go of those feelings and thoughts. So one just comes back and it's like it's like giving the brain a hot bath. It just feels, you just feel more relaxed and ready to face the world when you've done it. So no, and it's free. You know, it doesn't cost anything. You don't need any kit, any gadgets. You don't have to go training. You don't have to go anywhere to do it. You know, I mean, you know, if you're the kind of person who takes your body round with you, round during the day, then you've got it. That's all you need. You know, your body and your mind. That's it. That's all the kit you need, and all you need then is just 2 minutes. And by taking 2 minutes out, you will find that one can get far more than those 2 minutes back, recover them. You know, people find that they have fewer quarrels. They do things just more simply and neatly and cleanly. Um, Everything just becomes more orderly. So it takes a bit of time to do it out of the day, but you get that time back many times over just by ending up doing more and being more what you want to be.
Just finally, obviously, we're all going through this in very different ways, but do you think there's a potential that we could come out of this crisis that we're going through happier and with more gratitude?
We've got this choice. We can choose. We can't choose whether we have the coronavirus and catch it. We can do obviously things to prevent it. We can't choose the impact on the economy. What we can choose is the way we react to it and what we do day by day. And day by day, we either build ourselves positively or we don't. So, yeah, I mean, of course, we can come out, all of us individually, but collectively on top as well. You know, it's going to be a different world. There's not going to be as much money. There's not going to be as many possessions. And it will make us more appreciative. You could be a billionaire or you could be a pauper, but you go into a park in Glasgow or Cardiff or Belfast or London, and you could have the same experience. You know, there's only so many things that money can buy, and the happy people are obviously not the rich people. They're not to have enough money makes us unhappy, but once we've got sufficient, we can learn what a true sense of values is, and you know, like for example, cherishing our loved ones. A lot of people on their deathbeds feel that they didn't have enough time for their children, didn't have enough time for what really mattered in life, that they frittered it away. And if it resets the dials of what's important to us, then we will, for all the economic and social woes, we will come out ourselves happier and stronger.
Okay. Sir Anthony, thank you so much for speaking to me.
Absolute pleasure.